Hi, everyone, and welcome to Design TV by Sandow. This is Sustainable Product Spotlight with Metropolis, and I'm Avi Rajagopal, Editor-in-Chief of Metropolis. Today, we're going to talk about some amazing innovations in the world of laminates and how Wilsonart is engineering and designing its laminate products for a better impact for people and planet. Here with me to talk about that is Arvind Karthikeyan, who is the Director of Technology for New Process Development at Wilsonart. Arvind, thank you so much for joining me today.
Avi, thanks for having me here.
So Arvind, give us a little bit of an introduction to Wilsonart and your approach to innovation. And if there's also some examples of products you can talk about that kind of represent your approach, that would be great.
Perfect. So Wilsonart is a world-leading engineered surfaces manufacturer headquartered in Austin, Texas. We have operating facilities in the Americas and in Europe. We manufacture high-pressure laminate, coordinated TFL, edge-band, quartz, solid surface, epoxy, and other decorative products. They're used in a variety of applications like furniture, worktops, cooktops, and walls. Wilsonart is a 66-year-old company founded by Ralph Wilson. We kept the name. And we've been staying true to our mission in creating surfaces people love with service that they can count on, delivered by people that care. So that's Wilsonart for you. So Wilsonart, again, talking about sustainability for a second, Wilsonart was the first North American company to achieve Forest Stewardship Council's chain of custody certification. This is something that's used in the industry to promote responsible forest management practices. Wilsonart set the stage, and a lot of the companies just got on the bandwagon, and we just didn't stop there. We found out a company that deals with recycled paper, and we developed a recycled craft grade that's been since incorporated into our laminate layup. We've been using recycled craft in our products for the last 22 years. The amount of post-consumer recycled content that we use in our laminate, which would have otherwise gone to the landfill over the last 22 years, is the equivalent of 7.9 million trees. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of a forest the size of Chicago. That's a lot of recycled craft that we use in our product. And we are trying and working towards increasing the recycled content in our product. By 2025, we have some really high goals that we are aspiring to move our recycled content to. So that's what we do at Wilsonart. That's our journey towards becoming more sustainable and friendly for the environment. We don't just stop there in the overall scheme of things. We also take innovation to a product level. A new product that we introduced that's going to revolutionize the countertop industry is the ThinScape product. So more is always not better. ThinScape's a half-inch product that takes on the traditional bulky countertop. So we've engineered this in such a way that it does not compromise on the design or the performance, but is able to pack a punch with just half-inch of product. So that's something that we are proud to launch, and it just talks to our innovation that we bring about in products.
That's fantastic. And I think that journey is so interesting, starting with, let's deal with virgin materials responsibly, then let's look at a great source for recycled content. Now let's try and increase the amount of recycled content. And then, of course, with ThinScape, dramatically dematerialize, just remove the amount of material in our products. And all of these are such important strategies, a chain of strategies really, in terms of reducing carbon emissions, reducing our impact on the world's ecosystems. So absolutely fantastic work on that. But I know that, especially in your category, in the laminates category, you've really been leaders, not just in sustainability, but also in social responsibility. Can you talk a little bit about that more holistic approach, particularly with laminates?
Sure. So our sustainability journey, I'm going to tell you a story here. Our sustainability journey started 20 years ago when we benchmarked ourselves with Interface, the famous corporate company that started the whole sustainability in North America. And our team was trained by the likes of Jim Hartswell and Penny Bonda. And back in the day, we started what we call a take, make, waste philosophy, which we were looking at what material we brought in, what we made into product, and what we put out as waste. That was pretty telling. It helped us understand how our materials were being utilized in the process, what was driving our waste and all that. So that has grown, evolved, and has matured to become our ESG report. E stands for environment, S is social, G is governance report that we put out in 2022. So the ESG report is going to cover a lot of things that we are doing here at Wilsonart. Our CEO called it our ability to tell the world about all the great things we are doing in the company. So the ESG report contains a lot of firsts. This is the first time we're going to be sharing results from a materiality assessment, where we spoke to internal and external stakeholders about areas that we need to be working on. This is the first time we're looking at global greenhouse gas emission from all of Wilsonart facilities. This is the first time we're talking about a brand new declare label for high pressure laminates, for compact and quartz. This is the first time we are going deep into embodied energy and all the calculations about what post-consumer recycled content does to the embodied carbon and embodied energy of a HPL bonded panel. So that's all that from the environmental standpoint. On a social front, we are talking about the emphasis on diversity and inclusion at Wilsonart. We're focusing on the total well-being of our employees, where we have programs that deal with physical, mental, financial, social, and career advancement options for employees here at Wilsonart. So these are things that we are doing within Wilsonart, and we're also doing things with our supply chain, right? We are engaging with our suppliers and doing a supplier environmental assessment. Sustainability has become a key topic in all meetings with our key suppliers, and we are trying to find synergies where we could work together and make a bigger impact on the environment.
That's fantastic. I'd love to dive into a couple of those things a little deeper. You talked about, of course, the first declare label for the high pressure laminates category. You also talked about addressing the embodied carbon of your products. Now, both of the things are really important, and they address some really important needs in our industry right now. The declare label, of course, allows us transparency into the composition of products. And the embodied carbon piece, we know that for interior designers in particular, embodied carbon is a big part of their influence as far as carbon emissions goes. And it's really an important tool for us to use to bring down the carbon emissions of the building industry as a whole. And of course, Metropolis has published a lot about that. I would love for you to dive a little deeper into those two things before we go further. Tell us why the declare label is important, why it's so revolutionary in the high pressure laminates category, and also why you have this focus on embodied carbon and what you're doing about it.
Just like food labels tell us whether a food is good, healthy or not, it's important for Wilsonart's customers to know the details of an engineered material that they're bringing into their home, office, or living spaces. There are 4 documents that we put out recently that go into the transparency with a lot more detail. First one's at HPD, a Health Product Declaration. That discloses the components of what's in it, what are the risks, what our customers need to be aware of. So that's the first document. The second one is, okay, we've spoken about what's in the product. What's more important is what's coming out, right? If you're bringing a product into your home, you need to be aware of what it could potentially emit. So UL with GreenGuard has a pretty strenuous test where they put finished products and capture the emissions of what's coming out of them. It's important for everybody to know about engineered surfaces that they're using, what are the emission values. So practically all the Wilsonart products have GreenGuard Gold certification, which is the highest level that you can get from GreenGuard. And that's an important thing to know about engineered surfaces. The third document is this EPD, an Environment Product Declaration. So now we've spoken about what a product can do. Now, how for us to make the product, how much energy, what is going out in the environment for the manufacturing process to create that piece. So that's captured in detail by a third-party verified document, which we call an Environment Product Declaration. The fourth one, which is pretty much a summation of all 3, is the Declare. It's an internationally recognized transparency platform. It's almost like a nutrition label. It has elements from HPD, EPD, and talks about the incorporation with living building challenges red list. That's an important document where it says, okay, are there any harmful ingredients that are used in the manufacture of the product? So these 4 items are some of the many certifications and labels we have for our product. But I feel like these 4 pretty much capture all the transparency topics that a customer needs to know about products that they are incorporating into their living spaces.
That's fantastic, Arvind. And of course, that third piece that you mentioned, the EPD, also contains a really important number in it, the global warming potential, which speaks to the embodied carbon emissions of the product. That's all the emissions required to actually manufacture the product and take it to the site. Can you dive a little bit deeper into how you're assessing embodied carbon?
Perfect. Yeah, we'll do. High pressure laminate is basically made from layers of paper, right? Layers of paper are impregnated with resin, pressed to form a sheet of laminate. Paper coming from a bio source is carbon negative to begin with. And given that we are already doing FSC, we are responsibly sourcing it from rapidly renewable forests, and our recycled content, the post-consumer recycled content, which on an average is 23% in a sheet of laminate by weight. That's 2 times more than what any other competitor in the high pressure laminate industry has. So these factors alone put us in a very good starting point when we talk about raw materials. Now, let me step over and talk about the process, right? So the other place where we can have emissions, greenhouse gases and global warming potential would be from the manufacturing process. So we started out with a GHG, greenhouse gas emission study, on all the manufacturing and distribution sites for Wilsonart. We completed that in 2022, and it's a part of our ESG report. What we found was that diesel that we use for our fleet, the gas we use in the plants, and the electricity are the main drivers for global warming potential in the plants. We have a number of initiatives working with the engineering team, the operations team, to improve the global warming potential greenhouse gas emissions from the manufacturing sites at Wilsonart. We also, using the information we found in the GHG analysis, completed a cradle to gate analysis of what it takes to manufacture 1 square foot of laminate. And we didn't do a thin laminate, we did a bonded panel, so we could compare this against other finished products that go into a lot of these construction environments. So when we looked at the embodied carbon and embodied energy of bonded HPL panels, we found out that bonded HPL panels have 51% less primary energy demand. That's the energy required to make a bonded HPL panel, and 58% less global warming potential compared to other countertop materials like granite. This is a great story, and we have highlighted this in our ESG report. And this is something that we are trying to complete a third-party verification so we can understand this better and see how Wilsonart's products are better than all the other competitors out there.
That's so fantastic, Arvind. And this is why we need documentation and assessment, because sometimes the intuitive decisions that designers might make on projects, even if they're working with the best intentions, may not be right. They might think that something like natural stone is better than a high pressure laminate when it comes to sustainability credentials or embodied carbon. And obviously that may not be the case. So it's really important for us to have this assessment. And of course, the fact that you've opened up a new category with information, the high pressure laminate category, is absolutely fantastic. You've hit so many milestones. There's so much information available, including in your ESG report, which I'm sure, if folks want to dig into, they can. Where can designers access this information?
So Avi, that's a great question. We've recently revamped our website, and sustainability has a prominent landing page on our homepage. This can be accessed at wilsonart.com/sustainability, where we have information about all our products, all the certification, the ESG reports, and highlights for all the community outreach programs. So it covers all the elements: E, environment; S, social; and G, governance activities that are happening here at Wilsonart. So that's wilsonart.com/sustainability.
Fantastic. And just a shorthand for all the folks who are joining us here on Design TV today. If you had to tell designers to think about 3 sustainability attributes when they're picking surface materials, in particular laminates, what would they be? What should they pay attention to?
So first one would be post-consumer recycled content. What goes into the product? There are post-consumer recycled content certificates. You can go to wilsonart.com/sustainability to see what that looks like. And that tells you how much post-consumer recycled content is going into the product. That's my number one. Number two is the indoor air quality or emissions coming out of the product. If you're going to be using the product in your space, you need to be aware of what is coming out of it. So a Green Guard Gold certificate or a Green Guard or an indoor air quality certification is critical. The third item I would say is transparency documentation, a health product declaration, environmental product declaration, or a declare label that gives easy access to what goes into the product, what's the emission, what are all the environmental impact associated with manufacturing the products would be the top three items that I pick, Abby.
Well, there you have it, folks. The next time you're looking at laminates or surface materials, those are some of the things you should be looking out for. Transparency documentation, you should be looking out for ingredients disclosure, you should be looking out for indoor air quality measures as well, because obviously you don't want to, produce any harmful chemicals in the spaces that the products are used in. Thank you so much, Arvind, for joining us today and for taking us through all of that. For all of you who are joining us, as you heard Arvind say, if you want to find out more about Wilsonart's sustainability initiatives, as well as some of the amazing milestones they've hit on their products, head on over to wilsonart.com/sustainability. That's wilsonart.com/sustainability. Thank you so much and have a great day.